Hello, this is Hot Indonesia, and welcome to all of you watching us in Istanbul. I'm Dalton Tanonak in Jakarta, and here is this week's HI Hotlist. Breaking point: Myanmar's military government sentences a former civilian leader to prison. It's time for Indonesia and the world to take action. Danger Zone, the latest deadly volcanic eruption, is a reminder of the daily hazards of living in the ring of fire. And household justice: not guilty for a woman charged with scolding her ex-husband. What? Here are my co-hosts. Sandrina Malakiano is Deputy CEO of Polmark Indonesia from her home in South Tangerang, and Millie Lukito is CEO of the Mobiliari Group from her home in Jakarta. Hot topic number one, breaking point. A military coup in February took down Myanmar's civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi. Then on Monday, the government gave her 2 years in prison for incitement and breaching COVID-19 restrictions. Suu Kyi denied breaking the law. Her supporters say this is political, not criminal. Reactions from around the world were critical of her convictions. The United Nations, Great Britain, the US, and even a mild statement from China calling to advance the hard-earned democratic transition. As of midweek, no statement from Indonesia or the regional group ASEAN. You know, the longer we wait, the less impact any words will have. Sandrina, I think the time has come for more than words. Action, actually. If we believe in democracy, and we are actually holding a democracy forum in Bali this week, let us lead the way. Diplomatic sanctions, economic sanctions, something.
Yeah, as we know, history has been repeating itself in Myanmar over and over again. Aung San Suu Kyi led her party in winning the 1990 general election in Myanmar. She did not get the chance to lead the country at that time because Suu Kyi became the victim of the military junta's brutality. She ended up in prison, not in the palace, but then we saw the winds of change after the 2010 general election. She led her party to win the 2015 election. But as we know, democracy had a short life in Myanmar. Suu Kyi's imprisonment shows how the situation in Myanmar has continued to deteriorate in the last 10 months. Democracy has been demolished, human rights been discarded, everything there was done in brutal ways by the military junta. So Dalton, Indonesia's role in terms of leadership, influence, and prestige is being tested by these violent human rights and the extermination of democracy in Myanmar. This is the time for President Jokowi to show the world that he is a strong leader with a firm stance. Indonesia's commitment in guarding democracy and human rights must be proven by firmly and openly showing to the world that Indonesia is against the non-democratic, brutal ways of ruling in Myanmar. Jokowi knows how crucial and important it is to protect and appreciate the noble values of human rights and democracy, and he should let the world see this.
Yeah, and Millie, when China actually makes a statement about it, it was very kind of benign, but they talked about advancing the democratic principles in Myanmar's transition, then you know something's wrong.
Yes. I have actually met and sat down with Aung San Suu Kyi some time ago, quite a long time ago. And what I gathered from our meeting at that time was she's a very gentle soul, but a very charismatic and strong leader. She is very eloquent in communicating the vision for Myanmar and her future in politics. However, I am truly disappointed at how she handled the Rohingya situation, because I think someone at her capacity and with such charisma and influence in the international platform should do much, much more. And we cannot rely too much on the junta military, because their position is always to have 100% control and to have a dictatorship to the Myanmar situation.
Sure, and that's why you have a military coup, because you want total control. And you know, one quick point, Sandrina, she wasn't in prison. She was in house arrest for 13, 14 years in the 90s. And then now she's still being held in the capital, Naypyidaw, not in prison yet. They're going to decide whether to actually do that or send her to house arrest again. Let's talk a little bit about the regional group ASEAN, of which Jakarta is the home, the secretariat. Do you think, Sandrina, ASEAN will ever go beyond its policy in the past of non-interference? Shouldn't a body like this, like the UN, be able to criticize one of its members?
Speaking about the prison words, so no matter where you are, if you're not allowed, if you're permitted only a small place, it's for me, it's prison for me. So
Okay.
Speaking about ASEAN, ASEAN should not and does not exist in a socially and politically vacuum chamber, Dalton. Before entering the new millennium, ASEAN members had a heterogeneous type of regimes. There were still a lot of undemocratic countries in Asia. Some still needed years until taking the first steps towards democracy. But after entering the new millennium in the early 2000s, democracy became a common character in Southeast Asia. Even countries with socialist tendencies, like Vietnam and Cambodia, which are usually non-democratic, allow liberalization, especially in the field of economy. So it makes perfect sense if we expect that now ASEAN strongly holds the noble values of human rights and democracy. Aside from that, the world has become more transparent, so countries can no longer hide their skeletons in their closets. ASEAN must act swiftly, firmly, wisely in this context. Related to ASEAN, there must be a re-actualization of the non-interference policy. That's what I believe. Strongly reprimanding ASEAN member countries that clearly violate human rights principles is something I believe could actually be done. Admonishing should be defined not as a violation of the non-interference policy, if it is done as a warning when human rights principles that are part of the ASEAN as well as international consensus are or have been violated.
Okay, one more point on ASEAN. You know, I reported from Myanmar covering the historic 2012 elections in which Suu Kyi's party made initial gains following the decade of the 90s. Here's what I asked her and her response.
You said groups like ASEAN should not engage because it tightens the grip of the military leaders. What is your position now on governmental groups such as ASEAN? And also, what is your general advice to the international community at large about visiting, about engaging in business?
We've always believed in engagement. Even with regard to ASEAN, we believed in engagement. What we said before was that when they were talking about constructive engagement, it meant engagement only with the government and not with the public and the opposition. So constructive engagement should mean engagement generally with all elements in the society. And we welcome the engagement of ASEAN on those terms.
And I believe she would say the same thing today. Hot Indo will continue shortly with Danger Zone, keeping safe in the Ring of Fire.
Saya ingin mengumumkan kerjasama dengan The Indonesia Channel. Saya mendorong semua entitas untuk bergabung dalam upaya ini dengan mempromosikan produk dan layanan mereka di platform digital yang unik ini.
Welcome to Foodiepedia. Every week in this program, I will introduce you to one of Indonesia's fabulous food items. Yummy. Beautiful. Now, I'm ready to cook. Let's go to the kitchen. It's done. Let's meet to eat.
Foodiepedia on the Indonesia Channel.
I'm Trần Minh Ngân of VCCTV Net Việt in Hanoi.
I'm Thairat Thumya of Thailand's Thairat TV in Bangkok.
I'm Monica Sambodet from the National Television of Cambodia in Phnom Penh.
I'm Raymond Go of Malaysia's TV3 in Kuala Lumpur.
I'm Glenda Chong of Singapore's Channel News Asia.
I'm Raisa Chantami of the Indonesia channel at the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta.
This is your weekly look into the dynamic Southeast Asia region.
ASEAN Today on the Indonesia Channel. The best of Bali, only on the Indonesia Channel.
You are watching Hot Indonesia with Sandrina, Millie, and me. Here's hot topic number 2, Danger Zone. The images posted on social media last Saturday were out of a disaster movie. Mountainous clouds of hot smoke and ash pouring out of Mount Semeru in East Java. The number of dead passed 20 this week. People burned from all the intense heat of the eruption. In all, more than 5,000 people affected, with 2,000 homes needing to be relocated and rebuilt. As we are taught, there are 130 active volcanoes in this country. We sit on the Pacific Ring of Fire, where the regular movement of continental plates causes earthquakes and frequent volcanic activity. Millie, more than in most places, we always have this disaster scenario in the back of our minds.
Yes, because Indonesia has 130 active volcanoes. So we lead the world in with the largest number of active volcanoes. What to do? Perhaps the government should be more clear in managing those settlements around active volcanoes and try to relocate as much as possible many settlements away from volcanoes, Dalton. That's my opinion. But I remember in 1989, I was also still living in the United States, in San Francisco at the time, and the major earthquake happened because San Francisco was located in the Pacific Ring of Fire as well. So this is part of a human living condition, but I believe it's how the government react. And again, you can see our president yesterday was there, immediately on hand and immediately helping out in the field. This is, I think, as far as we can do as a society to help those living in the surrounding active volcanoes.
Okay, let us be clear. Most of the active volcanoes are not near urban centers. You know, I got worried calls from friends, as I'm sure you guys did, whether I was safe, not knowing that Semeru is more than 400 miles or 700 kilometers away from the capital, Jakarta. Sandrina, still an event like this one and others in the past affects all of us in this country.
Indeed. But Dalton, first of all, I wouldn't use proximity to urban centers to measure the seriousness or danger level when it comes to...
No, I'm just saying, describing, people think that we're affected by it in Jakarta and we're not directly. I mean,
But sometimes that's what happens, because when it's like in a rural area or something, then it becomes less important. It would be more appropriate to use the existence of human population in surrounding areas as indicators to measure the level of seriousness. Whether they are in cities or not, near or far from urban centers should not make a difference. So Semeru's eruption is an extremely serious and huge disaster we have seen. The eruptions have directly impacted thousands of people and many have lost their loved ones, their homes, their entire belongings. As to how these disasters affect our lives, I believe, such natural disasters like this volcanic eruption forms an important and deep psychological effect, having seen or having been near many disasters could, in one way, create a certain kind of fear in one's subconscious mind. Or it could also be the other way around. It could make one feel that it is just a natural, common thing. The latter is what we have seen in the lives of some people who reside around Merapi Mountain in Yogyakarta. The repetitive eruptions over time there have made the people so-called befriend this actually terrifying situation. What I see as a really important step, as Millie said, is the government and people need to build right now the readiness to manage such disastrous situations. High technology should be used to anticipate and handle the impacts of natural disasters. We have to learn a lot from Japan, Dalton.
The issue of relocating and rebuilding homes is an important one. But you know what? Some people have no choice in where they live. It's an economic issue, so they have to live where they have to live, and maybe land is cheaper. No one wants to live near the volcano, so they are there. So, Millie, that point is important. It's not just a disaster issue, it's an economic issue.
Yes, it is correct. And usually the soil surrounding active volcanoes are usually very good and productive soil. So it's really good for agriculture, and that's why people tend to settle around active volcanoes. But again, the government should be able to help the settlement around active volcanoes to know the danger, the risks, and how to mitigate, and also to have plans in being able to send information to the settlements around volcanoes on how active or inactive the volcano situations are from time to time.
Some of those who died had little chance because they lived so close. Others got burned and maybe got breathing problems because perhaps they lingered too long, too close to the volcano. Sandrina, some advice now to people, and from me, someone who's covered volcanic eruptions in my home state of Hawaii. First thing is get away as quickly as possible, right?
Of course, get away. I mean, to add to what Millie said, the government needs to also make policies to ensure that people do not reside in danger zones, like surrounding active volcanoes, because this would end up disastrous. And the policy and regulation must be followed by the change of status of land, so people would not have any chance to build their homes there. And aside from that, nevertheless, Dalton, it's also heartwarming to see that there's a lot of people who still care. You see all the activists, the humanitarian aids, I mean, they come in like no time, and they support the people risking their own lives. This is a good thing to know that in Indonesia, people still are there to support others and work hand in hand to find a solution, at least to overcome the situation first, because this is urgent. After that, then the government should do and act firmly in creating policies, because 130 volcanoes in Indonesia, and if people stay around it, this will happen over and over again.
Yeah, and my point, it's nice to have those videos and images on social media, but take it, if you're going to take it, then get away. I mean, don't be the hero and try to capture this, because those clouds will be upon you faster than you think. And I'm sorry, maybe in some cases that's what happened, but main thing, be safe and forget the social media stuff. More Hot Indo is ahead. Household justice. Should this woman have gone to court for scolding her ex-husband?
Caitlin Turner, and welcome to Yoga Bliss. Dropping your hands to the mat, just step it back and out and up to the sky. Up through your fingertips. Reach your right hand back behind your head. Let your hands separate forward and then start.
Yoga Bliss, only on the Indonesia channel.
What's up, iPoppers? It's me, Ardina Glenda, and you are watching iPop Playlist.
Semuanya perasaan, rasa cinta ku persembahkan untukmu di dalam lubuk hatiku. Tolong lihat aku dan jawab pertanyaanku.
Ditunggu aku bagaimana dengan pacarku. Oh, ku tak mau selingkuh karena itu bukan gayaku.
Denganmu.
You are watching Hot Indonesia from Jakarta. Hot topic number 3, household justice. Nengzi Lim faced a year in prison after her ex-husband reported her to police in West Java. The charge, psychological violence. Her action, scolding him when he was drunk. A public petition sided with her, and after judges found her not guilty, she thanked all who thought this was nonsense, as I did. You know, if everyone who reported their partners to police for displeasure, there'd be no time for real criminals. Silly case or silly that we're talking about it, Sandrina?
Yes, we could say that it is a silly case, but not silly at all that we're talking about it, Dalton. Such cases can be so useful to remind us that the legal and justice system exists not to be used as a tool by those who are enraged. The law and legal system is an instrument to uphold justice. Imagine if the person who is angry is not just a person, but a man in power. When the legal system is then used to channel his rage, then everyone who disagrees with him will fall victim to the legal system.
I think it should have stopped at the police level. I mean, the police should have said, hey, you guys, come on,
You know,
talk it out.
with this case,
They advanced it, and prosecutors should never have brought this up.
And you know, even though I believe it was also due to pressure triggered by the petition, as you mentioned, it's also because of the Attorney General also gave special attention to this case, Dalton. If not, it would have continued.
You think he'd have bigger worries? I'm wondering, though, are there two sides to this story, Millie, do you think? I mean, it sounds crazy that someone would take scolding or nagging as a crime.
I totally 100% agree with Sandrina. This is too much. This is drama, you know, and this, like you said, it's should stop with the police. We do not need to go further to include prosecutors and then all the drama of the courtroom situation. I think this is, I'm sorry, this is really too much.
Well, when I mean other side of the story, I mean, the ex-husband never got to say his piece, or I never read any accounts. I mean, what if he said, you know, she really got close to physically beating me up, which sounds kind of weak, but and she was verbally abusive and it really affected my job. I mean, there's two sides to every story.
Nah, but he's too young anyway.
I mean, it was the husband who reported her, right?
Yeah. So he's saying he was.
So it must have been based on his report to the police. So I don't know what happened. Maybe he has links with the police, you know, somebody in the police station or something, because If not, then there's no legal cause for something like this.
Yes, no legal cause. There's absolutely no case.
Well, we don't know. Because I don't perfectly know because I wasn't there.
No, I like Millie's simple answer. Nah. It is feedback time now. We really like hearing from everyone. Felicia made this suggestion on our YouTube page. Explore more on remote working versus office working after the pandemic. Good topic, Felicia. We'll do it. And Suhor emailed us from Vietnam with his picks for the next James Bond that we discussed. Stephen Rahman Hughes or Henry Golding. Two good choices, Suhor. Here's how to contact us with your feedback. Email us at hotindo@theindonesiachannel.com and a t-shirt is on its way to Suhor. Or comment through our Hot Indonesia or Indonesia Channel Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages. Final words, Sandrina.
These last few weeks, we have been surrounded by many disasters and misfortunes. Very high levels of rain causing floods in many regions, seawater levels rising and flooding coastal areas, Mount Semeru erupting, and other forms of natural disasters. It is important for us to be ready to anticipate such situations, but much more important than this is that we have to be responsible human beings in caring for and preserving nature, taking good care of the environment. Always remind ourselves not to contribute to the many forms of destructions and pollutions, and I'm grateful to see that there are still so many people in Indonesia who care about others. We see countless humanitarian acts quickly formed to help victims who are in dire need of aid and support. Let's pray for everyone hit by these natural disasters. May they be able to overcome the situation and be back on their feet soon.
Final words, Millie.
Last month when I was in Bali, I found a bottle of really good wine. And when I opened the bottle, I tried the wine. I was super surprised that it's very smooth, it's very delicious, and most important, it is Balinese made. So I'm very proud of that. And then I explored more, and apparently in Bali now, they already produce wine. Of course, they have always their traditional arak, but even the arak is now much more smoother. So safe to say, Bali now is a very international, it is an international standard and also a very sexy destination. Please come to Bali, people.
And my final words. Prosecutors in a corruption case this week asked for the ultimate penalty, death, to the defendant accused of using government funds for personal gain. This is the first such call, and I think it will definitely send a message to anyone thinking about doing bad things. But I also think taking a life for a nonviolent crime may be going too far. This is a subject that deserves debate, and we will do that next week. And that is Hot Indonesia for this week. For Sandrina Malakiano and Millie Lukito, I'm Dalton Tanonaka. Thank you very much for watching. Please join us again next time.